Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhujakacharya Sotara Satashi Simade Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhugan ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Purushottam Mat ki Sama Veda Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaur Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhadale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivishesha Srinavadi Paschatya Desatarne Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We're getting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, text number, says 19, doesn't it? Okie dokies. Santavya Shlakshnaya Vacha Santvavyan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhyagat Lingamatmani Nabhyagat Santavyan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhyagat Ramapadi Santvayan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhagat Santavyan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhyagat Santvayan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhyagat
Santavyan Shlakshnaya Vacha Hridayena Viduyata Prayasya Sneha Samrambha Lingamatmani Nabhyagat
Santavyan Shlakshnaya Vacha Santavyan pacifying Shlakshnaya by sweet Vacha words Hridayena with the heart Viduyata regretting very much Prayasya of his beloved Sneha, from affection. Samrambha, of anger. Lingam, symptom. Atmani, inner heart. Na, did not. Abhyagat, arouse. Translation. The king, with a grieved mind, began to speak to his wife with very pleasing words. Although he was filled with regret and tried to pacify her, he could not see any symptom of anger caused by love within the heart of his beloved. Please repeat. The king, with a grieved mind, began to speak to his wife with very pleasing words. Although he was filled with regret and tried to pacify her, he could not see any symptom of anger caused by love within the heart of his beloved. Well, there we go. Funny. I'm on ISKCON SanDiego Live, and I was seeing the kirtan go on. So then I put it all the way over. Now at least I'm in the chair. If anybody has any questions or comments later on, feel free to type in. If it's early enough, then maybe we can share them with the Prabhus. So we get to hear Srila Prabhupada's purport. The king, very much aggrieved, having left his queen and having gone to the forest to execute sinful activities. Should be the king. Okay, very much regretted, having left his queen and having gone to the forest to execute sinful activities. When a person regrets his sinful activities, the abandoning of Krishna consciousness and good intelligence, his path of deliverance from the path of material clutches is opened. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 555, Parabhavasthavadabodh, the Jato, Parabhavasthavadabodh Jato Yavan Jigyasata Atma Tattvam. When a person loses his Krishna consciousness and loses interest in self-realization, he must engage in sinful activities. All one's activities in a life devoid of Krishna consciousness simply lead to defeat and misuse of one's life. Naturally, one who comes to Krishna consciousness regrets his previous sinful activities in the human form. Only by this process can one be delivered from the clutches of nescience or ignorance in materialistic life. I need a little help in today's class. If you wouldn't mind praying to the spiritual masters and the Lord for that help to come. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shirta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye vanchakopatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. First, I should say that for those who were looking forward to hearing from Bhadrinarayan Swami, I'm sorry. He and Mukunda Charan Prabhu are traveling to Arizona, are there and taking and giving association with the devotees. And I'm not sure if they're in Phoenix or Tucson to begin with, but maybe we could chant one Maha Mantra for their safety and their quick return. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. The first thing that came to mind when I read this verse, and Srila Prabhupada doesn't emphasize it in the purport, but it is a valid point worth mentioning. The king, although he was filled with regret, and he tried to pacify his queen, speaking sweet words, she's lying on the ground, not even on proper bedding, and not dressed nicely or anything. Something's obviously very wrong, and he knows it's his fault. And he tried to pacify her, but even though he tried his best, he could not see any symptom of anger caused by love within the heart of his beloved wife. So if you don't care, then you don't speak out. If I see you doing something wrong, or you see me doing something wrong, and I don't say something, actually, why? I mean, if you don't correct me, you don't give me advice, you may think, oh, I'm senior to you or what have you. But if you don't make mention when you think you could help me, then often it's because you just don't care. And neglect, it's the worst kind of reciprocation. Guru Das one time said that he messed up. He disobeyed or failed in following an instruction of Srila Prabhupada. And I'm sorry my memory doesn't retain what the specific was. But Srila Prabhupada didn't talk to him for 3 or 4 days until he rectified. Yeah. It was something in relationship, it was some kind of maybe legal document or something in relationship to having His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder Acharya of ISKCON, on the papers or something to that degree. It was important, and Prabhupada drove the point home. And this was somebody that has, or had in that tense, a very intimate relationship with Srila Prabhupada and would speak daily with him in very loving, intimate reciprocations. But when something in relationship to service was flubbed, was dropped, the ball was dropped, then Srila Prabhupada neglected him, gave him the cold shoulder for 3 or 4 days before he rectified it. And boy, did Guru Das suffer. He wanted more than ever to regain the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, to make him happy with him. But for us, in relationship to, it's like, it happens all the time in common society. Somebody sees something and you just walk by, you don't help, you don't extend a hand because you don't care. So he's very aggrieved. Oh my gosh, she's not, I've done something wrong. She's not going to correct me. She's not going to vent her anger. She doesn't even look like she's angry. So it's a point that I'm bringing up that really, as Vaisheshika, quoting a Christian minister he heard on the radio say, we should live to be corrected. Especially if you're a brahmachari in the ashram, that is your position. You live under the shelter in the home of the spiritual master. the home of Radha Giridhari. And we're meant to be performing our services as nicely as possible for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. And if we fall short on that, then it is the kindness of the devotees that they point out how we can improve our services. And even if it comes across as if their motive at heart isn't because they care about our spiritual advancement, if we take the good that is in there, this is a way in which I can improve my service to Guru and Krishna, then we will benefit. It is Krishna's mercy. So that was a point. Next point is he regretted having gone to the forest and engaged in many sinful activities. He regretted having neglected his wife. And so Srila Prabhupada, of course, is in the purport, is bringing it home for you and me. None of us should forget what activities we've engaged in prior to becoming Krishna conscious. It's not really pretty thoughts. For most of us, having been born, conditioned by the materialistic, sinful society, so-called culture, civilization that we have here in America, so many sinful activities, breaking all the regulative principles. And, that's done out of ignorance, but the ignorance, at the root of the ignorance, is the envy for Krishna. And we should regret that. When we take shelter of Krishna, even once, sincerely saying, "My dear Lord, please accept me, I surrender unto you," then He does. He accepts us. And He gives us His shelter, and He tells us, don't worry about it. Now you're in my hands. You're no longer under the strict jurisdiction of tit for tat. Action, reaction. You're not under the laws of material nature. They will act upon you, but it will be under my direct supervision. This is what it means to come in contact with the pure devotee in a disciplic succession and to surrender oneself for the service of the Lord. We are so fortunate. So, we should very much regret that we wasted so much time in life, because life is very short. Even 100 years, if somebody lives to be 100 years, 100 years goes like that. What is it in the space of time? It's nothing. And, it's so easy, as we heard this morning, when one comes to this material world, then Maya induces us to embrace her. It's a nice visualization. Maya induces us to embrace her, and thus we lose all our good qualities. Not permanently. They're still there, buried within the heart. But losing our good qualities, then we engage in all types of sinful activities. Like I meant to, at least I had a thought before class that maybe I would have Bhakti Vinod Thakur's songbook with me, and I would chant that one verse. How long, wake up sleeping souls, how long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You know the Bengali. Give him the microphone. Let him, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the nectar from his lotus mouth.
Jeev jago gora chandra gole koto nidra dao maya pisachiro kole.
It's the very first verse then.
Yeah.
How long will we sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? And Maya Devi, she's the servant of the Lord. But the Vaishnavas who have love for Krishna, they have the highest respect for her. They fear falling under her clutches. They actually fear. And that's why they always pray to Krishna, please protect me from falling into Maya. That's the most advanced devotees. They have love for Krishna, and yet they feel themselves in absolute need of always being protected by Krishna. Otherwise, due to their fallen, insignificant nature, they can come under the victimization of Maya. Let's see, 233. The most essential support and a candidate for pure bhakti must always take help from utter humility. So if we remember what crimes we've committed against the Lord, then it helps in trying to cultivate a realistic relationship with the Lord. It is simply the causeless mercy of the Lord that He loves us despite our having turned our backs to Him since time immemorial. It's amazing. You don't see that kind of love in the material world. At the least little spat or argument, disagreement, people part ways. Even amongst the devotees. Now the most stupid reason for dividing, putting the wedge between us is politics in America. God Almighty help us. Maya is expert. Read the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. A pure devotee, he's not bothered by fame, infamy, happiness, distress, heat, cold, the upheavals of the material nature. He doesn't take parties. He doesn't take sides. He's under Krishna's control. He simply wants to engage without cessation, serving the Lord. And he doesn't want to do it for any other reason than trying to put a smile on Krishna's face. We heard it this morning or previously, very recently, that a pure devotee, he engages in service not with any other motive than to please the Lord. The Lord is captured by such selfless service and smiles upon the devotee. And the devotee, seeing the smile of the Lord, captures that smile, will not let go of it. He keeps it within his heart, the priceless treasure of having gained the pleasure of the Lord. And because of that, he becomes more enlivened to surrender and serve, endeavor in pleasing the Lord again and again. And in this way, there's a reciprocation, a competition of who can serve each other best. We have no clue in this material world of the nature of such love. It's inconceivable because it's not of this world. And we're dealing with the, practically speaking, timeless identification with and attachment to this mind, which has dragged us from body to body to body to body, species to species, activity to activity, trying to be happy outside of the service of the Lord. Lust, not love. And that's the problem. And that's why we should be very much regretful that this is our plight. But because Krishna is so kind, he gives us the association of devotees. If we have a serious desire to be taken under the guidance, under the wing of a specific devotee of the Lord, then the Lord will manifest externally before us in our lives as a Diksha Guru. And many Siksha Gurus, according to the depth of one's seriousness and sincerity, the Lord will support us and prop us up and protect us by the association of His surrendered devotees. That's why Srila Prabhupada created ISKCON. It is the greatest tragedy when people give up the shelter of the association of devotees created by Srila Prabhupada in service to his spiritual master. We don't simply regret our past sinful activities before becoming a devotee in this life, but we should also regret how much we have blown it and fallen short during the period in which we've been trying to render devotional service. When I think that I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for 48 years now, and I find myself still at the level of devotion that I have, it is a sad plight. Regulated devotional service is meant to produce the fruit of spontaneous service. And Raga Nuga Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service, means I want to serve you. I don't have to be told to serve. I don't have to be forced to serve. I don't have to be reminded it again and again. This is your service, Prabhu. Or how to do it nicely. Told once, twice, 3 times. How many times do you need? This is how you do it. This is what the spiritual master says pleases the Lord. Spontaneously, you want to. And the fruit of that spontaneity of desire in devotional service, the fruit of that is praying. And although it seems like it's as far away as the most distant galaxy or planet in the universe, and the chance of our attaining it seems so very remote, we should always keep that desire in mind. If we keep in mind why we're doing devotional service and what our goal is, if we continually hear in the association of devotees what Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and the disciplic succession, Srila Prabhupada and his followers, what they came to taste and give to us, then we can stay focused. Those who someday want to compete in the Olympics to become the best of the best in some athletic endeavor, they will daily undergo whatever sacrifice and austerity and practice it takes to improve, never satisfied, always trying to do better. And of course they need a coach to push them on, personal trainers, etc. Just like we need guru, diksha and siksha gurus, peers in the ashram, in the family, in the community. But the goal is to give it a shot, to actually try our hardest to achieve the unachievable, shooting for a rhino. And even though it is impossible, even though it's hope against hope, that's what we're advised to cultivate in our consciousness. The spiritual masters they give us their own realizations. And we're meant to hear them, chant them, remember them, aspire to measure up to them. O Lord Hari, when will that day be mine when I can behold Sri Radhika beside you, and I will touch your lotus feet and serve you both together? When will that day come when I can happily serve you both, along with Lalita and Vishaka, making garlands for you and offering you tambula, camphor, and betel nuts in a golden box? The lotus feet of Radha and Krishna are my only treasure and the ultimate goal of my life. O deliverer of the fallen souls, please give me the wealth of these lotus feet, because I have no one except you. O spiritual master, Lokanath Goswami, O ocean of mercy, friend of the fallen and life of all people, please be merciful to and give me the shade of your lotus feet. I, Narottam Das, take shelter of you alone. This is hankering in Krishna consciousness. We're meant to cultivate that deep desire. And it starts right from the baby steps of doing what we're told in the way in which we're told, and embracing sadhana bhakti. Ultimately, all these activities, when one develops attachment for Krishna, the following of the ashram, varnashram, the discrimination between matter and spirit. What to speak of, trying to control the mind and fixing it in samadhi. All these things, when you advance by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga through the stages of bhakti, the higher stages of bhakti, at a certain point, they're no longer necessary. In fact, they become a burden. In the realm of love, in Goloka, they're not engaged in any of those activities for purification. The perfection of purification is prema. And that is the atmosphere of Goloka Vrindavan. They have what we're being offered. They have what we should be wanting. And they act just like regular humans do in cultured civilization. In fact, that's what makes Krishna so attractive, that he appears to be human. And he engages in all the activities, the simple, I guess I'll try and couch it in these terms, the simple sattvic activities of pleasure. He takes care of his father's cows. He plays with his friends. He relishes the foodstuffs cooked and offered to him by his mother and the gopis, Srimati Radharani included, under Mother Yasoda's guidance, supervision. He accepts the service of those who help dress him, who, all the menial chores that servants do for their superiors. All the relationships are there, just like in human life. But there it's not broken, it's not flawed, there is no selfishness. That's why it's never broken. It's all in love, and it's ever variegated and ever increasing in that love and in that reciprocation. But we find ourselves here with good reason to be lamenting, hankering for Krishna's service and lamenting how far short we fall in that endeavor. O Lord Hari, please be merciful and keep me safe at your lotus feet. The 6 enemies headed by lust and anger are dragging me to different places, enticing me to enjoy my senses in various ways. Forgetting you, I've become a servant of Maya and desired so many things for myself. Then, hoping to collect some money, I disguised myself as a Vaishnava and wandered from door to door. After a great deal of suffering, you then kindly tied your rope of mercy around my neck and brought me back to Vrindavan. But then your external potency, Maya Devi, forcibly untied that rope and threw me into the well of material existence. So if you kindly once again catch my hair and pull me out of the well and place me in Vrajadam, only then will I be saved. Thus prays poor Narottam Das. And it's worth mentioning, as Srila Prabhupada says, this lamentation that Narottam Das and all the Acharyas exhibit, it is the nature of the soul. These are my own words. It's the quality of the soul. Dainya, it's extreme humility being seen. Where did I put it? That dainya means the state in which one always thinks oneself exceptionally incapable and low, and here's the kicker, even when endowed with all excellences. Dainya, utter humility, and prema are part and parcel of the same love. They complement each other, they encourage each other. Each causes the other to manifest more and more. And so we see it in the life of the pure devotees, but really we should be understanding that they're representing us and how we should be cultivating our consciousness. That we are so fallen, rotten and fallen. I've already said, how long I've been a devotee, and look at me. How far short I fall in measuring up to what my spiritual master wishes for me. We're following the regular principles, but what about the subtle anarthas? Why aren't we tasting the bliss of chanting the holy names? Everything's in the names. Everything's in that kind, pleasing words that we're trying to offer to the spiritual master and Radha and Krishna, to Gaur Nitai. That's the secret. It's locked in the names. And we're given the encouragement to be enthusiastic, to be determined, but our mind just rides roughshod. And we are so submissive to it that, if I don't feel good, or if I'm not in the mood, or this or that, then, we just listen. We just, don't put our best foot forward. I mean, since it's all in the names, it's like, I think, like this morning, I thought in chanting my japa, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says about his spiritual master, running after you. I simply am crying, Krishna, Krishna. In other words, please, give me your mercy. Without it, there's no hope. Absolutely none. Srila Prabhupada said this movement is simply going on by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Narada Muni, coming and seeing Srila Prabhupada's disciples engaged in hearing, chanting, devotional services, laughed. They're a bunch of malachas. And that's the fact. What's that verse that Prabhupada quoted? Big, big monkeys, big, big belly, jumping to Lanka, Sri Lanka, melancholy. Something like that. So, bunch of monkeys. But the Lord's happy to engage us. He gives the spiritual master to do so. So, enthusiastic. Come on. Srila Prabhupada, he says, I've given you the 4 regular principles and the austerity. How much austerity do you have going on in your life? Get up early. Is that so difficult? I'm simply asking you, go to bed early and you get up early. In Vrindavan, in a Bhagavatam class, and he said, and that you can't even do. We're so fallen in this age. Heck, the karmis, when they are so fired up and focused on what they're doing, they give up sleep. I mean, some people might not like this example, but, the president, bed at 12 and up at 4. How many of us are just reducing our sleep gradually to 4 hours? Prabhupada did even less. Because they don't want to waste any of that precious time that's just gliding by like anything. So enthusiastic. Encourage each other. We don't have to, like for me, my one austerity, I have a bad habit of not standing or sitting properly. For 8 straight years, my work, I was bent over a table, and it's going to take some time to recondition the body. But my austerity in the morning in japa, because Prabhupada said, sit properly for a reason. So that we can control the mind, so that it becomes easier to control the mind. Because there is something about the life airs and how they will flow if one is sitting properly and then trying to use the mind to chant and hear the names of Krishna. So in the mode of goodness, that's what you do. You sit there and you chant. You don't have to flail around, when one is in the mode of goodness, what to speak of transcendental. You don't have to, And for me, it gets more and more subtle. Just like every time my mind tells me to go like this. I don't know if you can see or if you even care. Every time my mind tells me to do that, that means my mind is going, get comfortable. And I just heard last night Srila Gauragovinda Maharaj saying, you want to know what real sin is? It's trying to keep the body comfortable. Any thought, any activity you're doing to try and please the body and mind, that's sin, that's lust, that's envy of Krishna. Something as simple as this. Why? Because once you get comfortable with that, what's the next point? Then what do? Bhakti Alex? Then what's the next thing you do? Bhakti Alex? And then where does your mind go? That's the ultimate thing. But it goes, because you've started with something as simple and as innocent as crossing my leg. And then the mind has stolen us and has taken us to somewhere in the universe, God knows where. Anywhere but the names of Krishna. And that's okay. If that's what we want to put into Krishna consciousness, no problem. I've been an idiot for 48 years. I can't throw stones at any of you. I'm preaching to myself basically this class. I knew there wouldn't be many people. We got to get real. What do we want? When are we going to get serious? And that means continually trying to pass the test that Maya so expertly slips in. You've wanted this for lifetimes. Just do it in this fashion. And we think we're dovetailing in Krishna consciousness or that it's innocent. If we're wasting time and it's really first and foremost about the comfort of my body, the ease of life, etc., then we're missing out. We're not growing, at least in the rate in which we could, progressing and advancing in Krishna consciousness. And that 10th offense, inattentiveness is the root of all of them. Because if you're not, unlocking the names by attentive hearing and chanting, with proper pronunciation, with proper posture, and with a prayerful mood, What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Is it a ritual? I don't want to spend the time, but there's one of these songs by Narottam Das Thakur where he talks about all the things he's done, his charities, his austerities, his penances, his baths in the holy places, etc., etc. And he said they were all a waste of time because they were distraction from what really is our absolute necessity, which is surrendering to Krishna, trying to please Krishna. If we're just engaging the body in devotional activities, that's okay. It's a process that works, depending on how much effort we put conscientiously or mentally, intellectually. We get that much tenfold results from Krishna. But, as I sometimes say, move your feet and your body will follow. I used to tell people when I did my group sales, you want to start exerting your influence right from the very get-go. So if they're standing further away from you than you want, then it's because they put a wall up. They're not receptive to what you're offering. So you want to break down the walls, right? So you go, can you come in just a little closer? If you move your feet, your body will follow. And most people are innocent and they will follow a leader. That's how we're built. That's how we're designed. We're servants. So if we will engage the body in the activities, the beginning activities of sadhana bhakti, then the mind slowly will surely follow if you're sincere. And to the degree of your sincerity, it will be how quickly you become accustomed to telling the mind, take a hike. I'm not listening to you. I want to attentively hear and chant my rounds this morning. Or whatever the service may be. I want to put some consciousness into it, and ideally, with the motive, you really have to cultivate it. Would you agree with me? It just doesn't come natural that when you do a service that you are thinking, I'm doing it to please Krishna. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. Plenty of times we do things and we do it because we're used to doing it and we're supposed to do it, but why are we doing it? And that's what a lot of what we're talking about here is about. Krishna consciousness is so sublime, but we're diseased and we're weak. My God, if we all took the old test right now, do we test positive for Maya? I guarantee you'd have a high count on me, and I imagine with everybody else. You're in Maya. What do you mean I'm in Maya? I'm shaved up, I got tilak on, I chanted. How many finished their rounds this morning? I bet hardly any of us finished our rounds this morning. Did you chant 16? Yeah, nobody. Yes, we didn't. Okay. But we got to jump over the gross hurdles to get to the subtle hurdles. Like I was saying, subtle sex life. We're following the principles, but how many of us want to get the pat on the back? How many want to get recognized? How many want to, get the lamp first? Or, I'll give a perfect example. Like, man, it's easy to give an example in my life. I could spend twice as much time running down the list. But just like I did a recording for Gora Katha for the Purushottam Navadvip Parikrama. And due to, lack of following through when I sent it to make sure they got it, they didn't get it. They put out they put their poster. There's like 20 devotees there, speakers and this and that. And I looked there and, hey, wait a minute. Where's my picture? This is the type of thing I'm talking about. Do you think a pure devotee cares if his picture's there? He's grateful he gets the opportunity to glorify the Lord. He's grateful that he gets to offer that service to others, hoping that the Lord will or has spoken through you to inspire others. That's all. that mentality, cultivating that consciousness, that's what allows the blessings to come down. And so it's a constant battle until we realize and really, I'm Krishna's eternal servant. That's it. Not this. Not this. That voice inside. We're Krishna's eternal servant. And we should just be cultivating, praying, aspiring for it every day, reminding ourselves, stay on track, that I just want to please Guru, Vaishnavas, and the Lord. Simple thing. At any level of consciousness, you can render pure devotional service. Doesn't matter how young, how old, if you do whatever you're doing right now to please the Lord, that's pure. Guru accepts that and offers it right on up, happily. So it's a golden opportunity for us. In recapping, I tried to emphasize to begin with, if we care about each other, we will help each other. And that sometimes means pointing out our shortcomings. 2, hankering, it should be lamenting our regret. Very important in Krishna consciousness. I didn't have time, forgive me, but in my memory, I remember there's a purport in the first canto somewhere where Prabhupada says that the fire of regret is absolutely necessary to advance in Krishna consciousness. So that also comes under the category of lamentation. Oh, please forgive me. Don't kick me away. And then the flip side is hankering. I really want to engage in the Lord's service. I really want to go back to Godhead. I want to be allowed in the extended family of Krishna and Gokula and Goloka Vrindavan successively. And I think that was the main. Humility is certainly a essential part of all of that. Along with, I ended it on, why are we doing what we're doing? So, Hare Krishna to all you Prabhus. One devotee says they're jamming with yarn. Hare Krishna. Glad to be jamming with you. That reminds me, what time was it? 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm wrapping it up in the bathroom, getting ready to leave, and then the loud music from the park. There's people that stay in the park, and they got the music cranked up, what is it? It was a Bob Marley song. And what was it? It was all about love. But it just gave me some thoughts of contemplation that, gosh, when oh when will I have an understanding of love? Love. I won't bore you. I won't. By Krishna's grace, it's not coming to mind. I just put you in Maya if I started singing it. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Please share with us if you have any. Yes, Prabhu.
So, yeah, it's on. So I really stopped my tracks when you were talking about, crossing your legs and getting the body comfortable. And I'm certainly guilty of that. But there's another.
You're in good company.
Most of the time I'm sitting. But the other side of the coin, and I deal with this every morning, and it's just where I am in life. I have severe low back problems. They're uncorrectable, and I do what I can to be able to function normally. But when I first get up, I'm the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and if I don't do something to get reasonably situated, I can't concentrate on the holy name.
Yeah.
I'm so distracted by, you know. So there has to be a balance.
Thank you for sharing that.
At least
Yeah. The body, you know, us neophytes, we have to listen to it and pay attention to it. Paramahamsas, I mean, Gorkashore Das Babaji, when pain was racking his stomach because he hadn't eaten for who knows how many days because he had simply been absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna, sometimes, oh, you stupid stomach, you're disturbing me. Take some Ganga mud and eat it. I mean, that is the ways of a Paramahamsa. For us, you know, we have to be very mindful of our health and the balance. But we're meant to discuss the goal and the means of getting there. And we should be working on realizing that that little voice that we think is us is not us. And that goes with somebody wrote here. Thank you for sharing. I'll read this. This is from Vani, it seems like. I don't see the picture. I'm on my phone, so sorry. Maya Devi's very dangerous. She tries to catch us. She knows all our weaknesses. She knows ourselves in and out. We can protect ourselves from someone that doesn't know us. Then we can hide our, they say flows. I think faults, they mean. Faults and weaknesses. But Maya Devi knows the triggers. She can manipulate us really easy. So therefore we need to follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas and take shelter in Guru and Krishna and to seek association of devotees. Oh, that's Mother Ivania. Thank you for sharing. Very nice. So, yeah, we have to be comfortable, but the goal isn't comfortable, and if we're not careful, Maya can just say, oh, you're not getting comfortable so you can chant. You're getting comfortable so you can come embrace me. You just don't know it yet. Go ahead, get comfortable. Yeah, baby. Gotcha. Okay. Who else has a nice point? Like Ivania and Bhakta Ed. Damodar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You were speaking about how the most advanced pure devotees, they're always engulfed in this spirit of humility, of true humility, that they're most fallen, that they're So my question is, I think that's the most beautiful thing when we come across world-class people, or in this sense like pure devotees, and they're the most advanced, be it if it's a world-class person in a particular field or a devotee spiritually, but yet they manifest these divine qualities, like, and they're approachable and they're humble about it. They're not trying to show off their advancement. And could you speak a little bit about the dangers of perhaps the opposite of that, like where a devotee is advancing perhaps in his position, or perhaps in a particular service, and where they may box himself off in a tower, and deem himself better than other people, and all these different things. Could you speak a little bit about how that could, the dangers of that?
Yeah, it's a very nice question. I think I said it last time or a time before, whatever. Association of devotees is absolutely necessary, even on the level of praying. That's a direct quote. So sadhu sangha, and what does it mean to associate? It means to get guidance, to hear, to be inspired and purified by the association. In other words, one takes the role of Das, understanding my association to be Prabhu. So Krishna and Guru can manifest in that scenario. And in terms of humility, we have to be very careful what we want. This is how I'll say this. Because if we want to get recognition, that's no problem. God, you can get that life after life. Those who are recognized in their society and their different talents and their positions of authority, etc., etc., if that's what you want, you can have that life after life. It's no problem. It's no skin off Krishna's back. But it's not satisfying. That's the point. It's not filling the hole. The false ego and the stockpile of conditioning and desires that we've brought into this life, into devotional service, it may be assuaging it. Yeah. And you get the hit, the rush of the false ego being, stroked. Yeah, I'm the master of the devotees. By the way, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, anyone who considers himself to be the master of devotees is anything but a devotee. And the third point that comes to mind, humility, for me, that's, humility doesn't mean slumped shoulders, and it doesn't mean keeping one's head down or speaking softly. It doesn't, you can externally try to act like you're humble, but those who are humble, they pass all the different tests that get thrown at them. And in the presence of someone who is truly humble, because it is a symptom of their devotion to Guru and Krishna, it has the potency to melt the heart, to affect the heart. You can feel so inspired in the company of humble devotees. And there's many devotees that their humility throughout the years, just being in their presence, causes tears to come to my eyes, because they're reflecting an aspect of my spiritual master. You want to understand what humility is, become conversant with the life and activities of Srila Prabhupada. There were times when he said, I'm 10th class. Or when he's being glorified by Trivikram Swami. Yeah, you were so great in that lecture, Prabhupada, and defeating all those challenges, and you were just so wonderful, and you're the best, speaker and spiritual master, and he just went on, which is wonderful for a disciple to do, but finally Prabhupada had heard enough. He said, no! I'm just a humble devotee. A humble servant, that's it. Humble servant. He said it so softly, Trivikram Swami hardly heard it. That was coming from his heart. And then you have it where he's roaring like a lion, chastising. But it's just another side of his love for Krishna. And humility isn't the goal, it's just a symptom that progress is being made. So we should encourage each other to be humble. And if we're sincere, Krishna certainly shows us the fool that we are, and shows us how embarrassing our mentality and activities and words are, which is meant to help us cultivate and achieve humility. So is that relevant? Thank you for asking. Anybody else? I know somebody's service of breakfast. If it was Kanai Balai, he would have knocked on the door and said, I'm ready. But somehow or other we've gotten into a thing where breakfast has been shifted back. So thank you for your tolerance, for your attention, and for your association. Please forgive me for my shortcomings. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki.